The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right, enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
What? Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong? Disconnect.
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
If she only had 4 kids, would she call me every other day? She's got 7 kids. She feels she could call me every day. 1 kid per day of the week. If she had 1 kid, she'd call me once a week. Nice to have you here. This is The Doctor Is In. This is the Monday variant of The Doctor Is In. This is E-Person Monday. I just ran up against my email. I kept thinking, why am I not getting any email from people who normally send emails about some situation or comment or request? And I realized it's been backed up. For the last 6 weeks, I have not gotten my email. I'm noticing it now. I went and we solved the problem. My wife is much more computer savvy than I am. Solved the problem. But there's 600 back emails. And I'm looking at right now, oh my. I'm going to try to get to some of these. These are way back. These are back in August. So I'm figuring people think I just totally ignored them. And I don't want them to think that because I pretty much respond to every email in some way. Okay. So that said, my opening monologue. We would prefer that of the choices we have in life, there's a good one and a bad one. There is a right one and a wrong one. There is one that will work out and one that won't work out. The reality is, unfortunately, that sometimes you don't have good choices. You have a less bad one. Let me draw an example. Let's say that you're 18-year-old who did very well in high school, bright kid, headed for college, and is doing badly first semester. The party life got to him. His grades are plummeting. He's below sea level. It's underwater. And it's about 2/3 of the way, and you're thinking to yourself, this can't go on. I'm not gonna pay for his college if he's just burning hours and he's not putting effort into this. I would have to stop paying for it. All right, now that's a decision you didn't want to have to do. The other part of that decision is he's going to come home. Well, in high school, he was a bit uncooperative, somewhat disrespectful, and I was actually looking forward to him getting out to college away so we wouldn't have that friction, but now he's back home. So what do? I got 2 choices here. 1, I quit paying for his college, or 2, he comes home. Well, I don't like either one of those. My third choice is I just cut him loose and he's on his own, totally. Which he has no support. And in terms of getting a job, there's no way he's going to find something that's going to support him, at least in the near term. So I got 3 choices. All of them I don't like. All of them are not good. Which one's the least bad? That's really what a lot of life decisions come down to. I got to make the lesser troublesome choice. The thing about that is, sometimes you have no good choices. Reality doesn't cooperate. However, You make the one that you think will have the least complications, the least negative possibilities, and you move forward with it. But here's the good news about it. You really don't know if it's the least bad choice. You really don't know how it's going to work out. Maybe he comes home and he finds a trade school or something he gets into, and pretty soon he's a lot more successful than he was in college, and this is a better fit for him. But you didn't realize that. You didn't realize it until it started to happen. We can't see down the road, and what we think is a bad choice, but one that is forced upon us, turns out to be something much more positive than we could imagine. My wife and I had this situation. I was in my 30s, she was in her late 20s. She always said she wanted to have a big family. Now, big families nowadays are 3 kids are called big families. Watch TV. If you have a family of 3 kids, that's one of the things they play up. Oh, look at you have 3. Oh. But my wife wanted 4, 5, or 6. Found out we couldn't conceive. Now what? What's our choice? Well, we stay childless, or we try to adopt with its unknowns and its potential costs and its limitations. I mean, how many times can you adopt, right? So we chose to adopt. Now, that wasn't what we considered a lesser bad option, but it was certainly, in our minds, not as good an option as being able to conceive. So in that sense, if we were to choose, we would have chosen being able to conceive, but we were in a position to adopt. As it turned out, our speculation was we hope to get 1 child, maybe 2, and that'll be our family. We won't have a 4, 5, 6 child family. And as it turned out, thanking God for this one, we did not have a 4, 5, 6 child family. We had a 10. At that point, biologically, we were of the age, maybe 3, maybe 4. There was no way. There's no way in our wildest dreams we thought we would have 10 kids. Just kept happening, like eating potato chips, you just keep eating them till you get a bellyache. And that was one of our decisions that we thought was forced upon us. Adoption was forced upon us. That was not the decision we would have made if we could. But it turned out to be better than the decision we would have made if we could. Both in who our children are and in how many children we were blessed with. Life is oftentimes choices between 2 decisions. The lesser bad is the one you go with. But even at that, you can't be sure that it's going to be the lesser bad. You don't know how it's going to unfold. So many people have told me, I lost my job. I had a decision to make. They wanted me to relocate, and I didn't want to relocate. And if I didn't relocate, I was going to lose my job. And I just didn't want to relocate. So I made the decision to stay home. And then they got something that was even better than they imagined. They didn't see it coming. They didn't know it. How often does that happen? When you think I have to make a move that is not a good move, but it's forced upon me. Not the one I would have chosen. But it turned out better than you thought. Only God can see down that road. All right, when we come back, I'm going to take a look at some of these backed up emails that I just did not get to. It's Dr. A.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866 Ave Maria or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
This week on Christ is the Answer, Father John talks about truth and the Feast of Freedom. It's no secret that the world we live in today has become increasingly secularized. Sunday has just become another day, forgotten of the reverence it once held in our culture. What does it mean to keep the Sabbath day holy? Doesn't that limit my freedom? Join us this week as Father John shows us what is truth and how to reclaim Sunday. Tune in for Christ is the Answer, Monday through Fridays at 11 a.m. on Ave Maria Radio.
Ever thought you'd make a bundle by trading in or selling your used vehicle only to find out it's worth a dinner for two? Well, it's much more valuable to donate your vehicle to Ave Maria Radio. Thousands of Americans donate their vehicle each year. The donation to Ave Maria is easy, tax deductible, and supports our efforts to evangelize. A year from now, will you remember that dinner or your gracious and selfless donation? Go to AveMariaRadio.net to find out more. That's AveMariaRadio.net.
Strained or broken relationships are a given in most of our lives. Friends fall away, siblings drift apart, children sever ties with their parents, and despite our best efforts, these painful fissures are difficult to mend. Hi, I'm Dr. Ray. If you want to learn how to communicate better with the difficult people in your life and be a more easygoing, more forgiving person, check out my book, How to Get Along with Almost Everybody. Check it out. And all my other books on the store page at AveMariaRadio.net. That's AveMariaRadio.net. Thank you so much for joining me. Dr. Ray here. All right, let's jump right into this. This is kind of a long one, but it is something I think that is particularly perplexing and common among guys in particular. I have a problem with sins stemming from anger. And he says, which probably stems from pride. I'd have to ask him a lot about that. I don't know how that connection is. Anger is usually frustration. I've always rejected the possibility of being a victim. I'm nobody's victim except my own, it seems. Yeah, that's true. Ever heard the old we're our own worst enemy? I rarely have trouble with people. And when I do, I'm quick to de-escalate, forgive, and apologize. That's great. My trouble is uncontrolled anger at situations of failure. Okay, stop right there. Stop right there. There's part of the reason why you're overreacting. These aren't situations of failure. You have to separate that out. I read this on the break here, and these are situations of frustration, not failure. If you label them failure, you make them too big. For instance, here's an example. Loosening a bolt under a vehicle, pulling with all my strength, the wrench slips. My hand slams into the frame, skimming knuckles and hurting terribly. Plus, the nut is now rounded off, and the task will be next to impossible. What is the correct response in this situation? Well, pain makes you react. That's a reflex. All right? You react. Ow! Okay, that is not a sin. But then you say, I usually scream 20 to 30 curse words, then go to confession on Saturday. You don't have to scream those curse words. You do not. There's more of a willfulness involved in this. It's one thing to feel the pain of the banged up knuckles. That's a given. Pain creates a surge for many people of anger. Absolutely. That's not a sin. So why are you cursing? You don't have to curse. It's just automatic, Dr. Ray. It just happens. No, it doesn't just happen. It does not just happen. There must be something inside you that says for that moment you are justified in screaming like that. Another common occurrence. Working with horses and cattle, I train horses, and when they initially refuse to do what I ask of them, they're animals, they don't always do this. Although I know that I will eventually figure out a way to show them how to do it in a way they'll accept, the initial refusal is frustrating, and I tend to respond with my usual 20 to 30 curse words, empty threats, and then go into confession and say, wait a minute. See, once again, you're saying, I expect this horse to act a certain way. And when he doesn't, or she doesn't, I get mad. Even though you said, I train horses for a living, which tells me you know what they're like. And you full well know that it is probably more the rule than the exception that the first time around they're not going to listen to you. That's what training is. But you see, you got the wrong mindset. Your mindset is, this horse should get this the first time. And then maybe you're saying this, because I'm a good trainer. Somebody better tell that horse this. So once again, it's expectations. This horse should listen. I've noticed that this anger and frustration tends to focus my mind like a laser pointed at whatever task needs to be completed. What good is it to succeed in worldly matters if you lose your salvation? Okay, I'm going to step in here. First of all, I don't think that's salvation-threatening behavior. All right? You shouldn't cuss. You're not damning anyone to hell. You're using a lot of ugly language. You shouldn't do it. It's not cool. But I think most priests will tell you that does not rise to the level of a mortal sin. Part of it is it's reflexive and impulsive. You don't sit there and go, okay, I'm going to ponder this. All right, leave me about 1 minute and then I'm just going to explode. No, you just explode reflexively. I've come to believe that my anger is caused from a perceived injury, and therefore my pet reaction must be a form of revenge. I don't think so. I think your anger is coming from the fact that the horse and the nut are not behaving as you'd like them to behave. The world is not acting as I want it to act. Therefore, I get mad. But that's interesting, though, because you said you get along with people. People are much more unpredictable than a nut or a horse. But you don't get mad at them, which tells me you're quite capable of exerting self-control. But it's in these certain targeted situations where you say, this shouldn't be happening to me. And then you erupt. Going to confession regularly has made me more aware of how often I do this, 3 to 5 times per week. Well, if you're only doing it on non-human objects, horse is non-human, then there is the pattern, the theme, which is, I expect this to not happen. And when it happens, you erupt. Tell yourself before any of these situations, it may not work like I want it to work. The horse may not listen. The nut may not cooperate. Plus, here's another thing. You can be frustrated. Don't cuss. Oh, come on, Dr. Ray, don't cuss. How do I do that? Well, it's not a matter of how. You don't. I don't want to. Oh, good. Well, then don't. Oh, I can't snap a finger and stop it. No, you can't. But you can start believing that your cussing is not automatic. Your frustration's automatic, perhaps, but the cussing isn't automatic. My eldest sons are now old enough to help me, And though at first I tried to restrain my angry reactions in front of them, I failed miserably in setting a Christian example. Well, the first thing you do is you go to the boys after you did it, and you say, hey, boys, that's a classic example of what not to do. It's ridiculous. I'm weak that way, and I'm working on it. So you at least show them that you recognize that what's happening is impulsive, and you want to do something about it. All right, let's see what this one is here. So I haven't seen any of these, so... Oh, okay, that one I can't really say, so I'll leave that one go. Let's try Emily here. My 6-year-old granddaughter screams. I explained to her who you were and showed her a picture of you, and she would like to ask you what she can do to stop her bad habit of screaming. Thank you from her grandmother. Well, it depends on what she's screaming about. If she's screaming at people, that's kind of disrespectful. So I would think the consequences should be heavier. If she's just screaming because she's frustrated, like our previous E-person, well, that's not good either. It's not as serious. In other words, our previous E-person was not cussing at people when he got frustrated. He acknowledged that at the beginning of the E-person. He doesn't do it with people. So that's good. That's really good. All right? That would be a serious problem. Tell your little 6-year-old granddaughter that when she screams, she's going to go sit and calm herself down until you decide she can get up. I got to know what the screaming's about. Is it I'm not getting my way? Is that I don't want to be disciplined? Is it you people frustrate me, so I'm going to yell at you? What is the screaming coming from? You can't just put it under an umbrella and say she screams. There's got to be a little more detail to it. The more serious scream is at somebody, where she's throwing a Major League 2-year-old fit, but she's 6. So I would suggest, depending upon the context of the scream, that there's some pretty screaming consequences involved here. Now, she might say, well, that's not going to help me not scream. Oh, yes, it is. There's something about us humans. When we are held accountable for our conduct, and that's one nice thing about it being a kid, somebody's going to hold you accountable. Because we grown-ups don't always hold ourselves accountable. There's nobody to send me to my room when I scream. But when you're a kid, and there's a consequence, you're not dumb. You learn. I don't want the consequence. So I'm going to put more effort into self-control. And I think, rather quickly, that's what your daughter will do. Now, if there's defiance involved, you're going to have to deal with the defiance also. I showed her a picture of you, and she would like to ask you what she can do to stop her bad habit of screaming. See, the mistake to make here, I think, is that you look at something like this and you go, well, she knows what she's doing, and she really doesn't want to do it, so it must be something beyond her control. Oh, no. Oh, no. No, she just doesn't like when she does it. A certain situation erupts that she doesn't like, for whatever that might be, and then she lets her emotions get the best of her because she's 6. All right, well, we're going to teach her that you can't do that, and when you do that, we're going to do something about it. Not to be offensive, not to be nasty, just to say, this is not good what you're doing, honey. She already knows it's a bad habit.
For over 40 years, Leader Business in Ann Arbor has delivered top-quality copiers, printers, scanners, and software solutions, all backed by expert service. Rooted in faith and integrity, they ensure your operations run smoothly with fast response times and proactive maintenance. Join the many Catholic-owned organizations that trust Leader Business. Visit leaderbusiness.com or call 734-253-2534. Leader Business. Equip, serve, support.
When I talk about leadership, I always come back to the A, B, and 3 C's. Always be connecting, communicating, and collaborating with the community. Because at the heart of every thriving business, every meaningful relationship, and every strong neighborhood, there's a connection. I saw that in action at the 2025 Western Wayne Business Leadership Banquet right here in Southeast Michigan. It wasn't just a networking event. It was a masterclass on humility, purpose, and building something bigger than ourselves. One voice that truly stood out was a keynote speaker who, when asked about her leadership, she said, "I enjoy being part of a team. I'd much rather be part of a championship team than be a champion. I think it's so much more rewarding to do it together." That quote stuck with me because real leadership isn't about spotlighting yourself. It's about lifting others up and creating something enduring together. So let's keep connecting. Let's keep building. Let's lead with purpose. This has been a Christ-Centered Communication message. I'm Vanessa Denha-Garmo, a communications evangelist and host of Epiphany.
This is how it's going to end. There will be a great separation, and the separation comes as a consequence of the judgment. And the judgment is in every single person's destiny, every single human being. Our lives will be revealed toward God. What decisions did we make? How did we behave? How did we relate to the Lord's commands in our life? And to be able to grasp that, right? So it's really critically important to be able to see it. And then the separations of the weeds and the wheat is an image of what's going to come at the end of time. The separation between those who are righteous and those who are unrighteous, those who really die in the Lord in the right way and those who don't. And there will be separate destinations for each. And that's real.
Looking for a retreat venue for your youth group, sports team, ministry, or staff event? St. Francis Retreat Center in DeWitt sits on a picturesque 95-acre property, complete with 3 large conference rooms, 2 chapels, 2 dining rooms with commercial kitchens, meeting spaces for smaller groups, overnight lodging, and a professional staff to make your event a success. Call 517-669-8321 or visit stfrancis.ws to book your event today.
Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In, co-production of EWTN Global Catholic Radio and Ave. Oh my! I'm giggling. Okay. This is ePerson Monday. Ave Maria Radio Communications also is a producer. Dr. Ray. I just noticed this because I said my email's on the way. You spend too much time laughing, giggling, and just being annoying. Go back and listen to your own broadcast, and you will find it's true. Stop. That's big capital stop. Answer questions in a clear and concise way. If you are okay with that behavior, then you do not belong on EWTN. I ask you to resign. Okay, well, got that. Oh, I'm not going to giggle. Dear Dr. Ray, I'm a single mom of 2 girls. Life has been rough since I left their father, abusive father. Other than feeling alone and like I can't do anything right, I'm concerned about my second grader. She's 7. I'm concerned that she might be autistic or experiencing ADHD. Last school year was awful. She fought me on doing homework and got in trouble every other day. Ooh. She made progress with reading. The school year seemed to be off to a good start until today. Before today, now keep in mind this one is Yeah, this is briefly after the school year started because, as I said, I'm just now getting to several weeks of emails that were blocked. They were stuck on the server. For today, she loved her teacher and second grade. Then, at after-school care where I work, I found out that she can't keep up with the others and has been arguing with her teacher and disrespectful. Teacher said she can't learn. Ooh. And made no progress over the summer when the tutoring center said differently. We are currently living with my parents and they refuse to help with homework. Ooh. I've tried talking with my parents, but they just said I'm getting what I deserve. Generally, they mistreat me and undermine my speaking to my children. I try setting boundaries, but they just laugh and tell me that's not how it works. Ooh. I spoke with a coworker who thinks that my daughter might just be playing me and using her behavior to upset me. She makes sense, but isn't really sure what I can do about any of it. I'm pretty sure my parents will never change, and until I can afford to move out, we're stuck. They are elderly, and I don't know how to help them. Is there anything you can tell me that might help my daughter or myself? She sees a counselor at school and is on the wait list for evaluations with a pediatrician. Okay, those are 2 good steps. She's talking with someone. I would suggest you see someone in the sense that you're in a situation. It's like I said in my opening monologue. You're in a situation where you may not have any good choices. You got lesser bad ones. I would try to improve my own discipline skills here because if your daughter's going to be very frustrating, you're going to get frustrated and then you're not going to like the things you say and how you act around her. Please point me in the right direction. Any advice, books, anything would be greatly appreciated. I'm doing my best, but I'm scared it isn't enough and I'm ruining everything. Oh, please don't do that. Don't do that. What you have, I can read between the lines of your letter, is loving intent. You want to do well by your daughter. So, a couple of things. Find out what she's doing in school and set up a system where the teacher lets you know exactly what she's doing so that you can address it when she gets home. Loss of privileges, early bedtime, whatever it is, you connect your authority to the school's authority. I have a whole system set up like that in the book I'm going to recommend to you. I did not know at the end of this letter, because I haven't read any of these letters up to this point, they're all backed up on the server, that you were going to ask about a book. So this was not picked so I could say, oh yeah, buy my book. But I do have a book I think that would help you very much. It's called Discipline That Lasts a Lifetime. It's on my website. It is the most frustrating and difficult questions I get from parents ages, with the kids, not the parents, with the kids ages 2 to 18. And school behavior problems are in there. Now, I think, too, I was going to recommend an evaluation. Hopefully, the school will do that. If there are learning problems, attention problems, the pediatrician will help you, but he or she may not be in a position to do the kind of evaluation that the school can do. So I would suggest that, too. She's on a wait list for evaluations with the pediatrician. Unless the pediatrician does these kinds of evaluations themselves or through someone that works for them. If not, the school will do that at the referral of the teacher. Get into a meeting with the teacher, and if the teacher says she's made no progress and there are behavior disruptive problems in the classroom, you can simply say, okay, is it worthwhile doing an evaluation to see if there are learning problems and what kinds of behavior systems we can set up. But Mom, I got to tell you here, the last thing you need is to say, I'm ruining my kid. That's the last thing you need. You may be at a loss to know what to do. You may be at a loss to say, I'm not sure the best direction to go on this. That does not mean you're ruining your kid. She's 7 years old. It sounds like she's got a loving mom. I would not argue with your parents. Do not attempt, it sounds like, don't attempt to convince them to see it your way. My guess would be every time you've tried it ended in a fight. So as much as possible, you and your daughter kind of live at peace with your parents, and even if that means going out to eat more, away, well, obviously you know you don't have the money, but to the park, the library, some place where there can be put some room in between this friction-filled relationship. You said, I've tried talking to my parents, but they just laugh and say I'm getting what I deserve. I assume what they mean by that is your daughter is doing to you what you did to them, at least as they see it.
This program brought to you in part by Ave Maria, Florida, a big kind of small town where golf carts take you everywhere and there's always something fun around the corner. Discover championship golf, resort-style amenities, and a town center full of shopping and dining. With Ave Maria University and Ave Maria Catholic Church at its heart, it's a community full of connection and charm. More than 25 model homes are available for viewing. More information can be found at AveMaria.com. That's AveMaria.com.
Hi, it's Teresa Tomeo from Catholic Connection. Not having a will puts an unnecessary burden on your children. At mycatholicwill.com, a legal will is as simple as 15 minutes filling out information about your family. The standard cost, only $79.95. However, thanks to our partnership with mycatholicwill.com, when you use a promo code AVE, that's AVE, your will is absolutely free. No hidden costs whatsoever. So visit mycatholicwill.com.
Hello, Steve Ray here from Footprints of God Pilgrimages. The land of our Lord and Our Lady is calling us. We're heading back to the Holy Land over Christmas break this year. We have the best, most reliable guides and services awaiting us. The holy sites are open, and the local Christians are anxious to see us. Galilee, Jerusalem, Nazareth, Bethlehem. No crowds, no lines. Hope you can join us.
Find the Ave Maria Radio travel tab at AveMariaRadio.net. Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
You're listening to Ave Maria Radio.
Ave Maria Radio.
Wow, that music makes me just seem more sophisticated. I truly do. I'll let it play the whole time to get the full effect of it here. All right, kind of an interesting E-Person Monday for me, anyway, maybe not for you, but for me it is. My email has been, unbeknownst to me, I kept saying, why am I not getting what I usually get on email, which is generally through the contact page on the website, which is people writing in about situations or people writing in about asking for a presentation. I'm not getting anything. I thought, you know what, hon? I think it's time for me to retire. I'm getting nothing. Well, we just found out after somebody called me and said, I've sent you 3 emails, Dr. Ray. You always respond, and you didn't respond to any of them. I said, uh-oh. So we tested it, and in fact, nothing was coming through. So now I'm looking back at 600 emails heading well back into August. So I really am not. I'm really not in fact knowing where these emails are going. Usually I read them and I get some sense of it. Regarding your program, and she gives the date, about the woman's brother who hadn't been to confession in 25 years. He says he's not ready. That's in quotes, not ready. He may not be going because he's not ready to give up a sin he knows is grave, like porn or sins against purity. He has to decide to have a firm purpose of amendment. That may be why he doesn't elaborate on his avoidance of confession with his sister. I believe that would be the case. That'd be my top guess in a situation like that. I'm not ready, which is I've got this sin and I'm not confident I can do anything about it. What would you advise for either of them? I would advise this. If you go to confession, you're making a powerful first step to ridding yourself of this sin. There is grace, obviously, strength, inner strength from God, from confession. Yes, but I don't know if I can give it up. I would ask him, do you think you don't have the strength to give it up, or do you not want to give it up? Two very, very different things. If he feels he doesn't have the strength, then confession will help him get the strength, and he will continue to go to confession in the future, getting more strength. And like our previous e-person, the gentleman who says he goes to confession all the time because he loses his temper and he curses. And he says it's gotten better. If he says, I don't want to give it up, which my guess would be that's not it. It would be more, I'm not sure I can give it up. I would ask him, if you could snap your fingers and this particular action would immediately go away, you would not have the temptation to do it, would you? If he says yes, then I would say then confession is for you. Because what you're saying is, I want to give this up, and I could if I would. I would if I could, but I just don't know if I can. Alrighty, so let me go back here and see what else we got here. Dr. Ray, a few weeks ago, I submitted a question regarding a coworker friend who had lambasted me. That's quite a word there. It's a good word. Excoriated me, right? In front of my superiors. I had found the road to forgiveness elusive and hard to follow. The recommendation of your book, Thinking Like Jesus, was quite helpful. It was freeing to see in print the objectives that I had been overlooking in my approach to forgiveness. Yeah, we got a lot of misunderstandings about forgiveness and what it is and how we first grab onto it. I no longer feel hostile and defensive toward this person, though I know we will never be the close friends that we once were. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you experienced behavior from this person or a side of this person that you didn't think was there, but you saw they were capable of it, it's very natural to be wary. Why would you not be wary? That makes sense. You're thinking to yourself, this could happen again. So it's prudent, it's wise. Simply say, okay, I've got my guard up and I'm cautious. I'll be civil, I'll be pleasant. And this leads me to my next question. What should be my next objective in pursuing the mind of Christ? Now, I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to answer this? And then she said, oh, wait. I think I just had a light bulb moment. All right, I'm going to hear her answer. I don't know what it is. I haven't read it. The mind of Christ is to look to the Father. If he leads me to the person, it is about the heart of God for her, not about my desires. And then she says this. Thank you for your guidance. May God richly bless you. Wait, I didn't say a word. You did, Joanne, not me. She said, okay, what should I do about this? Oh, wait, I know what I'm going to do about this. Thank you. You've helped me so much. Well, I think what you're saying is you helped yourself. But that's okay. That's what you want. You want to be able to say, I got a question about this. Let me ponder it and see. Now, I think what she means by this is if he leads me to the person, it is about the heart of God for her. In other words, something in our Lord's guidance toward this person means, okay, she's hurting. She probably feels bad about the explosion or whatever it was, and therefore it'll give her a chance to reconcile. So, okay, good enough. I'm sure glad that Joanna came to this. Jana is her name, sorry. That she came to this without my help. Well, she did buy the book. Dr. Ray.
We'll return after these messages.
Maybe you've been hearing a lot about the need to make a spiritual communion while participating from home in a live-streamed or broadcast Mass. Maybe you've even prayed the prayer of spiritual communion. Spiritual communion is a concept that goes all the way back to the 4th century. It flourished in the Eastern Church and gradually moved west. Spiritual communion stresses the transcendence of God, where we unite our desires, intentions, and loves with the holy sacrifice of the Mass and the consecration of the Eucharist at the altar. Jesus, I embrace you and unite myself wholly to you.
Fire on the Earth's Peter Herbeck.
Without the light that comes from Christ, we walk in darkness. And darkness is a way of describing this fallen world in which we don't know why we're here even. We can't touch meaning because we ultimately can't see God, and we can't be satisfied because we were made for God. We were made as this entire creation. The whole cosmos was made to the glory of God. It all exists to reveal the glory and the majesty, the beauty, the complexity, the creative love and power of God. And all of it gives praise to Him, except for fallen angels and rebellious human hearts. We're made literally to live for the glory of God, to worship Him, to give thanks to Him. That's what heaven is. It's not just a big prayer meeting, but it is the full celebration of free souls and creatures just overwhelmed by the majesty and beauty of God. And we're sharing in it. We're not just watching it like we do on a movie, that when it's over, it's over. We're in it. We're sharing in the life. And it's total and absolute fulfillment. We can't hardly even imagine what that's like. The best we can do in this world is to have some measure of distraction or something that makes me feel good temporarily, or temporary goals that we kind of have hope in. Those intermediate goals are good goals, but they don't solve the big problem. They don't produce genuine heart that brings peace to the soul and transformation.
Peter Herbeck spreads fire on the earth, weekday mornings at 6:30 and again at 11:45 on Ave Maria Radio.
I'm starting a new self-help group. A lot of self-help groups out there. Matter of fact, I belonged to so many of those anonymous groups at one time. Everybody knew who I was. Yeah, I joined a new self-help group for parents who talk too much when they discipline. It's called On and On Anon. All right, that's bad, but that's a dad joke. It's all right. All right, see what we got here. I'm going through all these on my phone because that's where they are. I didn't have time to print them out. Let's see what this one is. Okay, that one. Don't think I need to do that one. Let's see this one. Oh my. Okay, this is a heavy one here. Oof. This was when this was written. Oh my. This was 3 weeks. This happened 3 weeks ago when this was written. Our oldest child, our only daughter, age 20, died in a single car accident. At the time of her death, she was estranged from our family. She was addicted to methamphetamine and cocaine and had severe mental health conditions, possibly bipolar, but she wouldn't get any treatment, even going so far as to sign herself out of a mental health hospital against medical advice. We tried very hard to help her, but it never got through. My husband and I also have 2 younger sons, 18 and 15, and we are also devastated. I hate that she died, and she was so mad at me, and we never got to work things out or see her in a healthy state mentally and addiction-wise as an adult. How do we heal from this? Help our boys cope. Well, first of all, Mom, recognize that the grief you feel is most likely the most powerful emotion you've ever felt. It dwarfs anything else you've ever felt. Most people are not prepared for how hard-hitting grief is. Recognize that. Recognize also that for quite some time, it may seem like I can't laugh again, or when I laugh I feel guilty, or I don't have any desire to do anything that I used to do, or anything that seemed important to me now is not important. That will in most cases fade with time. But there is one thing that makes it take a lot longer to resolve itself, and that is guilt. If you say to yourself, something in my parenting pushed my daughter in this direction. I don't know what it was. I can't identify it. And it torments me. What you described here, as you said, severe mental health conditions, which led to even at least one hospitalization, would indicate that your daughter had biological dysfunction independent of your parenting. In other words, there was a high likelihood she would have had these struggles in life and addiction with any parent. Any parent. I have a daughter like this. So that's the first thing you must realize, that there wasn't necessarily anything in your parenting that would have altered the neurochemistry that was giving her these mental health problems. And part of that mental health problem was that she didn't see that she needed any help. So the one thing you can do to at least mitigate some of this is to recognize, in all likelihood, it was not your fault or blame. And if you say to yourself, as I look back on it, I could have done things differently. I don't like the way I reacted. That may be because you were responding to some of the mental health issues your daughter was starting to experience, and you didn't know what to do about it. You were trying. You were frustrated. You said things. That's perfectly understandable. You didn't set out to make her be maladjusted. You had biology, it sounds like, working against you and working against her. The loss is devastating. Know that at some point, you and your sons, them probably sooner than you, will return to some type of normal existence, even a zest for life. That will happen. Unless you continue, if you're doing this, in beating yourself up over some kind of failure as a mother. The accident that killed your daughter could have been the result of her intoxication. And that intoxication was the result of her bad judgment. And that bad judgment was the result of her brain not working right. You said she has had severe mental health conditions. That means, in fact, at least if you're using the terminology correctly, there was brain dysfunction. And parenting can't necessarily make a big impact on brain dysfunction. Your daughter needed medication, and she refused it. So please, it's so fresh now, but at some point, you'll heal, but you must get rid of the guilt. Thank you for joining me. This is Dr. Ray. Stay on your walk with God.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.